Going into the next couple of days of TFCon Chicago 2025, we have two pieces of Transformers media-related news. One of them is more of a kind of a cousin thing, and the other one is some big news itself. Let's get into the cousin one first, a little more distant one. So, if you're going to TFCon Chicago and need something to watch on the airplane, or if you're not going to go to TFCon Chicago and you want to have a whole bunch of stuff to watch to keep you busy, well, we got something for you right here. It seems Tubi, the free, no need to sign up streaming service and app, which is available on all smart TV and smart devices, they announced via their socials that they're going to be adding the Challenge of the Gobots TV series in its entirety to its streaming service. All 65 episodes of the original series. It looks like it uses the same masters as the ones that were used for the 2 DVD box sets from the Warner archive that was put out. I think it was, 2011, 2014-ish? Around then they put those out. So that's pretty cool. So now people will get an easy way to access these episodes and check out that old series from back in the day from Hanna-Barbera. There is no Battle of the Rock Lords Gobots movie included with that. It's just the TV series. So we still don't have a super high quality digital version of Battle of the Rock Lords, unfortunately. It's the only thing that's really missing from all of this. So yeah, so that's available. So if you want to check out the Gobots and see what their story was about and some of their cool characters, you now have all 65 episodes at your disposal. And just for completist sake, might as well also address this. We also don't have high-quality DVD, Blu-ray, or digital ports of La Revenge des Gobots, or Revenge of the Gobots, which was a France-marketed sequel to the Gobots, but it actually was kind of a reboot if you really watch the story of it. Of the Gobots came out in 1987 after the Rock Lords movie, and it really was just a French dub of the Japanese anime Machine Robo Revenge of Kronos, which was the anime and toy line which Gobots came from, which was Machine Robo. So there's that too. That only had like a couple VHSs kicking around in France, and it had a hard lean on the Gobot stuff because it was trying to market itself as a sequel to the TV series and the movie. So yeah, so if you want to watch Machine Robo and see where Gobots came from, also there's a little homework there too. You could watch that and learn about that history and origin. Really good watch, Machine Robo. But let's talk about some actual Transformers media here, some new Transformers media. We've been talking about this over the past couple of months, and now we have a little bit more official information. Deadline here has confirmed that the Transformers series, mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff, is indeed coming. The TV show based on Skybound's Energon Universe will be happening in the very near future, and they're just shopping around right now for a animation studio. So the exclusive here, and this is, I'm going to read the article. So Robert Kirkman, Skybound's entertainment team, has teamed up with Hasbro Entertainment to produce the Energon Universe, an adult animated series based on comics from the same name created by Kirkman himself. Joe Henderson of Lucifer fame is attached to write an adaptation and serve as the showrunner for the series, an epic crossover of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and the Void Rivals mythology. All is expected to be taken very soon into animation when they find a buyer very shortly, aka an animation studio. So from what I've seen, the Joe Henderson individual of Lucifer fame has already done comic book adaptations of stuff, specifically, like we said, Lucifer, that's on Netflix. And the fans of that brand have been very positive of how that was handled. So that's kind of reassuring to hear when we think about adaptations from comic books to the screen. Sometimes a lot of stuff is lost there. The article continues on to say here, despite featuring a family-friendly Hasbro characters like G.I. Joe and Transformers, Energon Universe series will be broad with adult sensibility in the vein of Kirkman's gritty adult animated series Invincible, based on his comic. So yeah, so there's that too. You know, that's another thing also to consider, that, you know, we had Invincible, which was another Kirkman creation that was put into streaming services and adapted, and it was very well received and very true to the source material with no censorship, no cutting of the corners. It was very well done. So looks like it's very, very positive so far. Looks very positive. And again, the mention of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and the Void Rivals stuff does indeed confirm that it's going to be all of those things within the Energon universe of stuff. Now, how that will be paced, how all of those different stories and all those different books, it's not just an adaptation of, let's say, the Transformer books that we've gotten from Skybound. It's a matter of what's happening with Void Rivals, what's happening with the G.I. Joe books and all their spin-offs. That's a lot of different stories. How is that going to be adapted properly, paced, and everything like that it'll work? So that is a question to ask there. I'll continue on with the article here. It says, 2 years in, Energon Universe has become one of Hasbro's best-selling comic book lines ever, with over 7 million combined units sold worldwide. I mean, it's, right away I'm just going to cut in there. It's 7 million combined across all of those books, all of those different, subcategories, the Void Rival book, the Transformer books, the G.I. Joe books. So, I mean, to be fair, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't want to compare too much, but the Transformers Dreamwave comic books, I mean, they were doing crazy numbers just when they were pulling single issues in the first week. So, I mean, but this is still pretty impressive for the modern day comic book world. So that's still pretty cool, though. I mean, this is all pretty great for a multitude of reasons. I mean, first up, this reconfirms what I've said a lot of times. I find that the success of comic book stuff, even in the modern age today, really steer what happens with media afterwards. I always feel like it happened with Transformers. The success of those Dreamwave comic books led to those Michael Bay movies even being considered. And now the success of the Skybound books here are leading now for the consideration of much more adult-based material of this branding. And, it's great to have new media of Transformers on a high level. We're not talking 5 to 10 minute bite-size online series stuff like we've gotten already up to this point, both in Japan and in the case of Cyberworld and Wild King. We're not getting some Y7 marketed kind of safe shows and TV shows like that of BotBots and Transformers Earthspark. This is something that's made more for older fans by people that already have a track record of not just success, but success within the same related fields. Adult storytelling, comic books, comic book adaptation, animation itself based of that kind of comic book. All of these which a TF series greatly needs right now, and all of which Skybound and Kirkman have already been successful with. So that's really good. And again, Kirkman with his Skybound Invincible series, that's on the Prime Video Amazon service. It was the most watched animated series through that service, and it brought a lot of attention to that brand and all the people who didn't know what Invincible was. So that's another really good thing too, because now since this is a G.I. Joe and a Transformer thing, this adds a lot of other questions. What does that mean for the Hasbro G.I. Joe Transformers live action film that they were talking about, that they were cooking behind the scenes? Is that going to be on hold now? Or is this Skybound going into using this as a springboard to then getting people to know these characters in the mainstream, and then makes the live action movie more possible in a wider audience? There's a whole bunch of 3D chess going on here from a corporate side of thing. It makes the health gauge for the IP with the casuals. Is that higher now? I mean, if they put this series out first and then people love this series, would then give the movie a more viable option for it to exist? So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And on top of that, they even listed all the other stuff that Hasbro's working on outside of a G.I. Joe Transformers live action movie. They say here, Hasbro Entertainment's slate of films and TV series include a Clue TV series from Sony, a live-action Dungeons & Dragons series featuring the Forgotten Realm on Netflix, a Monopoly film from Lionsgate, a Monopoly series on Netflix, a Magic the Gathering live-action film and TV universe series in partnership with Legendary, and then an animated series on Netflix. This one has been in production limbo since 2019 for 6 years now, so I don't know what's happening with that one. A live-action Power Rangers TV series from 21st Century with Disney+. And here's one that's wacky, a live-action My Little Pony movie with MGM I don't know how that's going to work, but whatever. So, maybe with all of that, they might skip, that crazy plate. They might skip the G.I. Joe Transformers live action film in the short term, focus on this series, let that, get into the good graces of the mainstream audience, let people know what G.I. Joe is as an IP, because Lord knows anyone born after like 2000 doesn't really care about G.I. Joe. So if you could build it in a much more mainstream kind of way, then people might want to see a live action movie afterwards. Again, so it's not confirmed, but the general belief, though, from fans is that this is probably going to be all on Amazon Prime Video, judging by how Skybound's past projects have been. Now, the next question is, who should we see for voice actors? Can we get Peter Cullen for Optimus, Frank Welker for Megatron? Is the budget even there for that? Will, more popular recent people maybe be using this? Frank Turturro for Starscream, is he in the conversation? If Void Rivals is really part of this also, are we talking like, let's say, Judd Nelson for Hot Rod? Neil Ross for Springer? These are all big pipe dream kind of beliefs, but, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. But maybe they might just want to use a whole bunch of fresh faces, fresh names, and it'll keep the budget down as a result of that. Who knows? But time will tell. All we know is, I've been telling people for a while now to read the Skybound comic books. But maybe now that this is, cooking, maybe hold off on those early issues because maybe they want to enjoy it for the first time and all those twists and turns and storytelling through the animation. Because one thing that's always kind of difficult, and I've experienced this as a anime and manga reader, is I find that if you read the manga first, you sometimes get disappointed when you watch the anime, where if you watch the anime first, the manga seems like this more fleshed out thing and you end up enjoying both of them. So I'm kind of worried that for people that might read the comics first, they might not like the animation. But if they watch the animation first, they'll then love the animation and then go and appreciate the comic books even more. So I'm kind of conflicted with that, with what to recommend people, but it is what it is. So let me know what you think about all of this. This is getting, all kinds of crazy stuff going on behind the scenes. Probably not going to be happening anytime soon. Probably we'll be talking about this a year from now or 2 years from now. Who knows? But this is quite interesting. So let me know what you think about all of this. And I'll see you at TFCon Chicago in less than 24 hours.